Welcome back to the third episode of our captivating series on the life of Robert Oppenheimer, one of the most enigmatic and influential figures of the 20th century. In the previous episodes, we explored his early life and education, as well as his groundbreaking academic contributions. Today, we delve into the intriguing realms of his private and political life, as well as his complex relationships and children. But that's not all. We also unveil Oppenheimer's fascination with mysticism, which shaped his perception of the universe in extraordinary ways. So, join us on this enthralling journey as we uncover the multifaceted persona of the man behind the Manhattan Project. Private and political life. During the 1920s, Robert Oppenheimer remained largely disengaged from worldly matters, claiming that he did not read newspapers or popular magazines. He only learned about the Wall Street crash of 1929 several months after it occurred while on a walk with Ernest Lawrence. He admitted to having never cast a vote until the 1936 presidential election. However, his perspective on politics and international affairs began to change in 1934, and he became increasingly concerned about social and political issues. In 1934, Oppenheimer demonstrated his growing political awareness by allocating 3% of his annual salary to support German physicists fleeing Nazi Germany. During the 1934 West Coast waterfront strike, he actively participated in a longshoremen's rally alongside some of his students. Despite his efforts to secure a position for one of his students, Bob Serber, at Berkeley, he faced resistance from the physics department administrator, Raymond T. Burge, who displayed discriminatory sentiments by stating that one Jew in the department was enough. Oppenheimer's mother passed away in 1931, leading to a closer relationship with his father, who frequently visited him in California. When his father died in 1937, Oppenheimer generously left his estate to the University of California for the establishment of graduate scholarships. During the 1930s, like many intellectuals of that time, Oppenheimer supported social reforms that were considered communist ideas during the McCarthy era. He donated to progressive causes and hosted fundraisers for the Republican cause in the Spanish Civil War and other anti-fascist activities. Although he never officially joined the Communist Party USA, CPUSA, he contributed money to leftist causes through acquaintances who were suspected members. When Oppenheimer joined the Manhattan Project in 1942, his political affiliations came under scrutiny. The FBI opened a file on him in 1941, noting his attendance at a meeting with alleged Communist Party members. While some historians believe Oppenheimer had strong left-wing views and interacted with party members, it remains a matter of debate whether he was a formal member of the Communist Party. In 1954, during his security clearance hearings, Oppenheimer denied being a Communist Party member but identified himself as a fellow traveler, meaning he sympathized with communism's goals but did not blindly follow party directives. Despite suspicions raised about him volunteering information to the Soviets, General Leslie R. Groves, Jr., the director of the Manhattan Project, believed Oppenheimer was indispensable to the project and ensured he retained his security clearance. Overall, Oppenheimer's private and political life was marked by a transformation from a relatively detached individual to someone with strong political and social consciousness. His left-wing views, interactions with suspected party members, and past affiliations led to ongoing scrutiny, but his exceptional scientific contributions and role in the Manhattan Project ensured he remained a central figure in the world of science and politics. Relationships and children. Robert Oppenheimer's apersonal life was marked by complex relationships and significant events, including marriages and affairs with women who shared his political inclinations. In 1936, Oppenheimer became involved with Jean Tatlock, a fellow with similar left-wing political views. Jean was the daughter of a Berkeley literature professor and a student at Stanford University School of Medicine. She wrote for the Western Worker, a Communist Party newspaper. Their relationship was tempestuous, and by 1939, Jean decided to break up with Oppenheimer. Later that year, in August, Oppenheimer met Catherine "Kitty" Puening, a radical Berkeley student and former member of the Communist Party. Kitty had a history of previous marriages, including a common-law marriage with Joe Dalle, an active Communist Party member killed in the Spanish Civil War. Kitty had also been married to Richard Harrison, a physician and medical researcher. Kitty and Richard moved to Pasadena, California, where she enrolled as a graduate student at the University of California, Los Angeles. During a party hosted by Richard Tolman, a minor scandal occurred when Oppenheimer and Kitty were found sleeping together. Subsequently, in the summer of 1940, Kitty stayed with Oppenheimer at his ranch in New Mexico. She eventually discovered she was pregnant and requested a divorce from Richard, which he refused. Kitty obtained a quick divorce in Reno, Nevada, and married Oppenheimer on November 1, 1940, becoming his fourth wife. Together, Oppenheimer and Kitty had two children, Peter, born in May 1941, and Catherine, Tony, born on December 7, 1944, while they were living in Los Alamos, New Mexico, during the Manhattan Project. Despite his marriage to Kitty, Oppenheimer rekindled his affair with Jean Tatlock. This ongoing contact with Tatlock became a point of concern during his security clearance hearings, given her communist associations. Tragically, Tatlock suffered from depression and ultimately committed suicide on January 4, 1944, deeply affecting Oppenheimer. Throughout the 1930s and 1940s, many of Oppenheimer's close associates, including his brother Frank, Kitty, and several of his graduate students, were active members of the Communist Party. This fact, along with his own past associations, drew the attention of the FBI and the Manhattan Project's internal security arm, who investigated Oppenheimer for his left-wing connections. Oppenheimer's personal life was characterized by its complexities and the impact of political ideologies on his relationships. His marriages and affairs played a role in the scrutiny he faced during a critical period of history, marked by the development of the atomic bomb and the anxieties of the Cold War era. Mysticism. Robert Oppenheimer's intellectual pursuits extended beyond the realm of science, as he had a fascination with mystical and esoteric subjects. While working on challenging scientific calculations, he often concealed his intense dedication behind a facade of easy nonchalance. Oppenheimer's interests were multifaceted, and he found solace in exploring literature, especially the classics of Hindu texts and other obscure Western writers. His colleague I. Rabi once noted that Oppenheimer appeared to treat physics as a hobby and psychoanalysis as a true vocation. After leaving Harvard, Oppenheimer delved into the world of classical Hindu texts, immersing himself in their English translations. His passion for learning languages led him to study Sanskrit under Arthur W. Ryder at Berkeley in 1933. Eventually, he progressed to reading literary works like the Bhagavad Gita and Meghaduta in their original Sanskrit form, pondering their profound meanings. The Bhagavad Gita, in particular, left a lasting impact on Oppenheimer's philosophy of life, and he regarded it as one of the most beautiful philosophical songs in existence. He cherished the Gita so much that he gifted copies of it to his friends and kept a personal, well-worn copy on the bookshelf by his desk. Even his car was playfully named Garuda, after the mounted bird of the Hindu god Vishnu. Despite his deep admiration for Hindu thought, Oppenheimer did not embrace the religion in a traditional sense. He did not join any temple or engage in prayers to specific gods. Instead, his interest in Hinduism was more intellectual and philosophical. His fascination with Hinduism might have been partly influenced by his association with Niels Bohr, with both scientists critically examining ancient Hindu mythological stories and the metaphysics embedded within them. Isidore Rabi, a close confidant and colleague of Oppenheimer, observed that his interests in subjects beyond the scientific realm, such as religion and mysticism, shaped his perception of the universe. Oppenheimer's intuition often led him to perceive the world as a mysterious and novel place, and he would venture beyond the conventional methods of theoretical physics into more mystical domains. Rabi believed that Oppenheimer's refinement, combined with a certain enigmatic quality, contributed to his charismatic leadership. Despite not living long enough to see his predictions verified by experiments, some experts, including physicist Luis Alvarez, speculate that Oppenheimer's work on gravitational collapse concerning neutron stars and black holes could have earned him a Nobel Prize had he lived longer. However, Oppenheimer himself considered his research on electrons and positrons to be his most important scientific contributions, rather than his work on gravitational contraction. Although nominated 3 times for the Nobel Prize in Physics, Oppenheimer never received the prestigious award. His impact on the field of science and his enigmatic persona continue to be subjects of fascination and admiration among physicists and historians alike. Robert Oppenheimer's life was a tapestry of scientific brilliance, political consciousness, and intimate complexities. From his transformation from a detached individual to a socially aware activist, to his marriages, affairs, and the impact of political ideologies on his relationships, every chapter of his life leaves us captivated. And as we glimpse into his fascination with mysticism and the enigmatic realms beyond physics, we are reminded of the profound impact his intellect had on the world. If you found this episode as intriguing as we did, don't forget to watch our previous installments on Oppenheimer's early life and education, as well as his academic contributions. And here's an exciting opportunity for you. Leave us an inspirational comment below, and you could enter a chance to win a stunning silver turquoise heirloom ring. So, keep the conversation going and stay tuned for more riveting episodes in this remarkable series.